The next fight on the card, according to Tapology, is going to be between Andrei Arlovski and Waldo Cortes-Acosta in the heavyweight division. And you've got the former professional baseball player here, Waldo Cortes-Acosta. The guy who seems like he's got the better athletic pedigree. You just look at this guy's Instagram. He looks like a much more fit fiddle, right? Compared to an Andrei Arlovski, who's a lot longer in the tooth, an older fighter here, but a very experienced, savvy guy, 44 years of age, almost 45. That is definitely quite old for this UFC level. And he is on a 2-fight losing skid. He got submitted by Marcos Rogerio de Lima. He got knocked out in the first round by Don'Tale Mayes. So a couple of bad looks for Arlovski in his last 2. And now they're giving him the Salsa Boy. And the Salsa Boy is a big favorite here, minus 400 or so. And that's where it becomes a little concerning, right? It's like Waldo is a guy that is sometimes content to fight to the decision, right? Last time out, he went out there and finally broke through, got that stoppage, knocked out Luca in the first round. But when you look, he got decision by Marcos Rogerio de Lima. That was just 7 months ago, right? And when you look at Andrei Arlovski's career, I'll just tell you where I've gotten burnt trying to fade this guy is fights that go to decision in the UFC Apex. He's clearly lost fights before, like the Jake Collier fight, and it didn't matter. They just gave it to him anyway because it's Arlovski, and he's got the fan favorite. He's got people cheering for him and all this stuff. But I do think that Waldo probably going to be too fast, probably going to be a little bit too dynamic with the hands. And if Don'Tale Mayes can take you out of there with the hands, then, Waldo could probably do the same. But I just think if Waldo gets content and doesn't put the pedal to the floor here, doesn't really distance himself from Arlovski, he could be really looking down the mirror of a gross split decision because you could outland Arlovski by 20 strikes, whatever it is. They're just going to find a way to give it to him more often than not in that Apex Center. So be warned. That is something to consider for sure. But looking at Arlovski, overall, his body of work, he really hasn't been beating many quality opponents in this latter portion of his career. Jake Collier by split decision. I think he lost that fight, so he could arguably be on a 3-fight losing skid right now. Jared Vanderaa, not a great win, gets it by split decision. Carlos Boy Felipe, not a great win. I don't believe he's with the organization anymore, gets it by unanimous decision. And then Chase Sherman, terrible win. Guy that's, barely clung to a job in the UFC, let's say. So we wish him the best. But looking back, Tom Aspinall, the last time he fought somebody who is a little bit young, dynamic, was able to take him down, submit him quite easily in that second round after almost knocking him out in the first round. He got the win over Tanner Boser. I don't think he won that fight either. I thought Tanner Boser deserved the nod there. Obviously, Tanner Boser kind of left that fight in the hands of the judges. He also didn't throw enough head strikes. He kind of left that fight up in the air, but he landed a million leg kicks and Arlovski landed like 8 punches and they gave it to Arlovski. So just an example of the kind of Apex dynamic I'm talking about. Then he got the win over Felipe Lynch when Lynch was looking like he didn't care and wasn't on steroids. And now Lynch looks like he does care and is on steroids. So big difference there in his performances. And then he got knocked out by Jairzinho Rosenstrike. So those are all his fights since 2019. And it hasn't been smooth sailing when he fights guys that have some talent. And I think Waldo has more talent than a Collier, than a Vanderaa, than a Felipe, than a Sherman, even than a Don'Tale Mayes. So I think he's probably going to get it done here. But the price tag for me in this heavyweight division with a guy who's gone to decision a couple times is pretty prohibitive as far as I'm considering this one.